simple. But it's if you could meet anyone in real life, who and why? Um, the thing that at the top of my head, the first person that I would like to meet in real life, it's Tilda Swinton. I found her quite an interesting person. Even her acting choices, I find interesting. So I don't know. I feel like she will be someone I would like to have a coffee with and just see who is that person. So it's a very simple question today. So I will pass it on to you, Elias.
I would have to say that if I could meet anybody in person, I have this show that I really, really love that people either love or hate, you know? It's called It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and it's a show about people who are just terrible, you know? Instead of like, "Ah, we're all friends and we'll always be there for each other," it's just like, nah, they're bad characters, they're bad people, you wanna watch them fail. And I just love the actors who are also the creators and the directors, and I would just love to meet that cast.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll pass it to Bear 100.
Thank you, LBS. Mm, I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. I think I would need more time to think about one person. The first person that came to my mind probably was Lionel Messi. You know, I'm a really big soccer fan. So, I mean, I wouldn't complain at all if I had dinner with him. I think that'd be really, really cool. Um, so yeah, I'll pass it to Costa.
Thank you. I think I would like to meet Freud. Like I would have loved like to to have a conversation with him. I like so many of his books, and I get lost in thought most of the time. So I would like to have this mind fucked in common. I'll pass it to you, Iram.
Thank you. Yeah, the first name that comes to my mind, I don't want to sound like a generic teenager, but Shakira, I would really love to belly dance on the same stage with her. Um, so yeah, I'll just say that and I'll pass it to you, Auntie.
Thanks. This is low key a really hard question. I'm not really sure, but the first person who came to my mind was Michael Jackson. I don't know. I've been smashing Michael Jackson albums the last week. So I guess I'll just keep it with Michael Jackson. I'll have it over to Manu.
Thanks. For me, I would like to meet Julian Assange, and I would ask him how to continue his work and some tips on how to prevent myself from becoming a martyr when you're facing the enemies that you're facing when you're truth telling. So I will pass it to. Is that all of us? Pass it back to you, Eddie.
No, Miguel, welcome to the call. So, Miguel, we are asking icebreaker question. The icebreaker question is: if you could meet anyone in real life, who and why? Go ahead, Miguel, if you feel like sharing.
It has to be alive.
No, anyone.
I think that Gustavo Cerati. I think it will be cool to meet Gustavo. I don't know
Nice.
who's left.
No one. We all have gone. Thank you for that, Miguel, and welcome to the Communitas working group call. So, the items of the agenda are on the screen. So today will be quite of a check-up call, more than anything else. But the first item is Otterspace. So to provide context for folks who are not familiar with Otterspace, a few months ago, we with Gideon were trying to find a way to understand how how the roles in the TEC, the roles in Discord specifically in the TEC, have a relevance beyond just the title and beyond some permissions in the TEC. So they came with some suggestion from Sample, which for example was a token gated channel. And one of the things that came about was the idea to have a token, a sort of a reputation token or something of the sorts. And Otterspace is a product that came about a few, like 6-7 months ago. They were quite like ahead of their time. They were talking about soulbound tokens before it was a thing, and but they were not ready to deploy, and they deployed a few months ago. So we have been working with them on the beta test of Otterspace. I'm gonna see if I can share this here. So this is the project. It's I will add the link here. So this is the as you can see here, we have our logo in their homepage. But the idea is that you can create badges. You can specify the amount of time that badge will last. So for example, stewards, and we can create badges for stewards that will last 1 year. And then that will give them some access to certain channels and some privilege and so on. And then the token, they send you a token that give you access to the platform. And from that point on, then you can create badges, mint, and so on. The conflict at this point is the fact that I'm sort of transferring the ownership of the token to Enti. So he can handle the sort of integration process to do so. And I'm gonna share a little bit about how it looks on the app. Give me a moment. Let me see if this opens. Yeah. So what you can see on the screen is a little bit of how it looks. So basically, you'll have this menu. You can already add art to the token, to the badge, and so on. And we already, at the Lace, already created some pieces of test for stewards and contributors, just as a test. So we can add the art to those badges, and anyone that we share the link with can mint that. So the idea will be that once I get the token, because they sent it to the wrong address, so that's why I couldn't send it to you, Enti. I just checked with them, and ideally they will remint the token again or resend the token again. I will retransfer it to you so you can start working on that. I just want to ask you, did you gain access to their Discord or not yet?
Yeah, I have.
There you go. Okay. It's all mostly set then. I will send you the token, and once that's done, I will ping you and you'll have access to it. Does anyone have any question regarding Otterspace before we move on? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. I heard you guys wanted to talk about reputation and beer. So we can talk about that because it will be linked to the next topic of the agenda. So I don't know who wants to take the lead on that conversation.
Well, just also I guess because it's related with the Otterspace thing, I think. So something that I was talking with Antti and that we were talking about on the sprint planning, it was this idea of a reputation system. But before that, I would like to hear if you, Antti, if you already have like a plan for using this Otterspace and this membership idea. If you have like something more concrete that you're planning on doing, or are you like more open to looking for other ideas? Or I would like just to take a note on that.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty new to Otterspace. I haven't really checked out what it's capable of. But I guess what I've been thinking about is sort of badges as reputation, in just like Edu says. So every role here or stuff like that should have a badge, which is not only a way to prove that you're, I don't know, a steward or anything, and you have certain responsibilities. But we can also use, for example, Giggle, that we are currently using for the token gate, to provide access to various tools. Like they have integrations with Google Drive, I think with GitHub as well. And so there's a few things we can do with the badges in Guild. But right now, that's as far as I am with that, and just curious to know what everyone has been thinking about and how can we move forward.
Can I ask you? Yeah, go ahead.
No, sorry, Edu, I don't know if you were gonna say something, because I have been thinking about some ideas that I would like to share with everyone and with NT, but I don't know if you were gonna say something before, Edu.
No, I just wanted to try to just go a little bit deeper and understand what is the goal of the reputation. Like, what do you envision?
Yeah, so if you want, I'm gonna share on the Communitas chat. It's a clarity link for all the brainstorming that I've been having. Because I'm doing the recording, Edu, could I ask you just to share a screen with that link?
Sure, of course.
Thank you. So it should be on the channel now. So yeah, basically I've been thinking on this. It kind of like started from a different kind of perspective, a different question, because what you guys are talking more and this is more about membership. But like my idea for the reputation system, it came from actually, because here in the sample group we have, like, probably you guys know the sample praise. That is like a designated amount of money that we're gonna add and we're gonna distribute between the members, the more active members within sample. So all the praise that is dish in the sample channel specifically, that counts towards this distribution of this amount. So basically I started in like questioning myself, because we figured that people, maybe they were not like um, dishing as much as praise as we were expecting, so how could we like incentivize people to dish more praise in a more genuine way? And that was kind of like the starting question for me. If you go all the way to the bottom of this document, there's an MVP. If you wanna, you can take a look at it. Right there, yeah. So kind of like that is tackling these objectives, like how can we incentivize the use of praise among the sample members, and how can we create new and strengthen existing cultural practices around dishing praise. And I thought that maybe this exercise could help also in the creation of kind of like a first version of a reputation system that could be based on experiences of the contributors, let's say in this case sample, so I kind of like call it sample journey, and in this MVP I imagine, like this structure, super simple, of badges, and this is where Otterspace came to my mind, and how could we make it work with POAPs or some kind of NFT, some kind of rewards. So what if we had like these 5 badges or 5 POAPs that would represent that a person went through an experience throughout like a period of time, right? So for example, I think we've lived through different like important moments in the TDC that it would be really nice to kind of like put into an NFT that we, all of us, could have, right? So for example, here in the sample case, I came up with these 5 badges that we could have, something like super simple. Kind of like the first one would be like for the people, and this is all I just came up with it. I mean, if it's a good idea, we can expand on this and make it more like clear. Like for example, we could have one for sample founders, right? And this badge is gonna be unique. It's gonna be like non-transferable, and only the people that attended the number of calls, between call number 1 to 7, will be able to have access to this POAP, right? That could be like the specification, or like the requirement that you need. And then you could have one for if you attended like 10 sample calls during the season 1 of sample, then you have like this POAP of season 1 for sample, And then for tackling the problem that I was trying to solve about praise, I thought that, well, maybe we could reward people, with the amount of times they dish throughout the period of time, right? So if you dish 50 times praise during a certain number of period during the season, well, then you'll get this really nice pop that says like, you know, like praise giver, and like, you know, like we could add like super cool art to it or whatever. And you know, it's like an extra reward that, in a way, I think it also starts building up on reputation. You know, like you can start looking at the badges of the different people, and oh well, you know, these people actually takes their time to these praise to people to acknowledge what others are doing. Well, that tells you something about that person, and that builds on reputation, right? So kind of like this was like the main idea. Same with praise receiver, right? If you receive praise at least 10 times, well, maybe that means that you're really active in the group, and that again, that builds on reputation, right? So yeah, you know, this is kind of like a really simple version of what I think could be some kind of reputation system, and at the same time kind of like incentivize this praise activity and make it fun. This is something that I was talking with Gideon, right? That I think it's super important that all of these processes, we try to make them as fun as possible and as interactive as we can. And yeah, you know, like if you go a little bit to the top in the brainstorming, I base myself on these three principles, you know, trying to make it fair, fun, and inclusive, right? So yeah, this would be kind of like my initial idea that I wanted to share, especially with NT. I wanted for him to hear this, in order to see if we can find like a way to incorporate Otterspace, or I've been looking to add other apps that are also like interesting, like Coinbase. I don't know if you guys heard of it, but also seems cool. So yeah, I don't know. I would really like and appreciate if you guys have any comments, ideas, first impressions. That'd be great.
All right, let's pass it on, and I will count down, and whoever has or want to share their thoughts. LBS, go ahead.
Yeah, just super quick. It's exciting to see like reputation reward related stuff. I think this is a cool direction to go. I think the integration with Otterbox and like POAPs and NFTs is just like a really interesting way to create connection and like context socially. I think it's cool. I'm excited.
Thank you, LBS. Someone else? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The thing that I will comment on this, Ver, I really like this. I really like this sort of layout. I will definitely think that Otterspace could work with this. The only thing that I will try to match, it's with the idea of membership that we are trying to launch. So I will say, for example, just top of my head, that sort of reputation system will only apply to people who are member. That's just to top of my head. And then the only thing that we have not thought about this is a layer of seasons. So that's something very interesting from your structure. It's that we can sort of see the way how we structure more into seasons. So it makes more sense. Or maybe per year. Like for example, the Stewards, we had an NFT, a POAP NFT that was per year. So if you were a steward on the 2021, you had a POAP. If you were one in 2022, you had another one. So that kind of thing. It could be also doable. I would rather go for Otterspace than the POAPs, just for the sake of experimentation and playing with that. I think it's more fun. But yeah, so I will agree with this. We will just have to sort of merge this reputation system within the membership kind of roadmap. But that will be my only feedback regarding this. Does that make sense, Amber?
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, that's what I at the beginning I asked Kenty, like if you guys were already thinking about something in terms of the membership project, because yeah, I think like definitely we should incorporate it, and yeah, no, I thank you for the feedback. I don't know if anyone else has anything, Anti, and I would be really curious on your first impressions.
Yeah. First impressions, just like praise to you, because sounds like you put a lot of thought into that, and I think that's probably going to complete a lot of like an on-chain profile of the people that contribute to the TC. that I believe is going to be very valuable in the future, as you know, NFTs and reputation take more and more space in Web3. And I don't know, I'd be really down to just chat about it and explore options as I get introduced to our space and just seeing, how can we actually make that work. But yeah, really cool. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you, Andy.
Awesome. Thank you, Andy.
All right. So this is a link to the next topic of the agenda. Welcome, Shui, to the call. Nice to have you here. So we had this on advice process on the forum for quite a while, and it's something that we worked on the past month with Gideon, and we are going to start deploying this week, hopefully. So this will take maybe a little bit of explanation. So if anyone needs to interrupt me at any moment, please do. But this is mostly what we are aiming to do. So there is this link to an epic that it's on. I will paste here on the Communitas channel, and it's an epic that we built when we did this document, and it's a epic that basically explains the steps or the things that needs to be done for the new membership kind of approach that we want to do. So to provide context, the idea of this membership approach is to have a more token engineering approach to the concept of member. We believe that a member is not only someone who engages or has a token, but a member in a token engineering community should be someone who engages with the different layers of our organizations. And every organization will decide which layers are important for them to make someone a member. But in our case, we will sort of start it out with the three main layers: the cultural one, the governance one, and the economic one. And in each of these layers, there will be something that you will have to sort of do in order to become a member, therefore earning the badge of member on Otterspace. That's the sort of goal. The first part of this idea would be that it will be very simple, and this is everyone will do it. So if you join our Discord, you are basically an observer. And the moment that you sort of start joining our orientation call, or you join our Discord or the forum, or go through the Git book and came out with post or whatever, you become a newcomer. And a newcomer role will replace the new member role that we have currently. And the idea is that from newcomer, you will aspire to become a member. And the way you become a member is by, again, engaging in these three layers, in these three sort of steps within these layers. So the first one is the community offering. Community offering is something that it's new. We will basically have a channel. It's very simple. We'll basically have a channel with a set of links that are fixed, and everyone can do whatever they want with those links and interpret them however they want. And the idea would be that they could make a drawing, a poem, a song, whatever, just a text, whatever it is, and it will be shared on this public channel, and it will act as a community offering. So you will learn in the process, because the links that you will create based on will be links that are like, what is the TEC? What is the praise system? So there will be links that we aim for you to learn through this. And the idea is that once you have done the community offering, then the guides will manually change your role to member, and then therefore probably give you an access to the Otterspace and so on. Besides that, you have the signing of the covenant in our I forgot the name of it, gardens, and then economic layer, it's to join the praise system and unhold TC tokens. That's basically the sort of the idea of this. Very simple, nothing too deep, nothing too complex. This is something that already people do, but there was not a structure before to guide them. The idea is that this will serve as a guidance for these folks. Based on that, we will just have to create the community offering channel. Secondly, we will have to update our processes and roles. We will have to filter out the roles in our Discord because there are too many roles. Most of them are unused. So we will filter them out, take out a bunch of roles, and just leave the ones that are strictly necessary. So these are, and then we will set up Otterspace with NT. I hope to incorporate Beer 100 approach to reputation before we launch this. So these next 2 weeks will be about just creating this content, choosing the links that will be on the community offering, tweaking the orientation call deck so people are more aware of this process now. So there will be a sort of a relearning process for our community building in our community, and we will test it out. The idea will be to test it out for approximately like a month. See our numbers, see if something changed, see if people interact more or not. And then ideally, and IRM, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but ideally will be that in a few months, 1 month and a half or so, then we will be able to guide people, ORM or Costa will be able to guide people through the working groups in an easier way. That's the goal. We will see if we find that goal. But that's a little bit about this process. So I will probably sit this week with Irem and Costa and whoever else wants to join to create this content and this execution of this. If someone wants to take of any of the tasks, the issues are already open on this Epic. There are 17 issues. There are ones that will probably not be deployed, like the survey bot, like these ones that says the bot and so on. But they are categorized in relevance. So if it has a number 1, is the highest and most important. It has number 3, it means it's not so important, and so on. So all of these issues are meant to be part of this process of the new membership kind of approach. So this became a monologue. So I will shut up for a bit and ask if anyone else have any question regarding what I just explained, because I speak too fast, so that may have happened. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So probably I don't know, Bert and Enti, I think you guys can you can read through the document and come up with a feedback improved version if there is any feedback or improvement you want to do to the document of reputation, and then we can sync to sort of merge this with a new membership kind of thing, and we can start deploying whenever you want and test it out. Is that okay for you guys?
Yeah, for me sounds great. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, same.
All right. So the next topic of the agenda before we pass on to LBS. Oh, sorry, Mamanu, I didn't see your topic. Would you like to speak up?
Yeah, sure. Cool. So, yeah, as most of you know, I used to be an onboarding guide for about 4 months earlier this year until I decided, after a suggestion from Tam, I decided that if I were to explore other roles within other working groups, that would allow a new contributor at the time, Costa in this case, to come into the guide role I'd be leaving. So I trained Costa as an onboarding guide, stepped down from my role, and he's been an onboarding guide ever since. Of course, that was before a lot of the roles got closed, some of the ones I was working at, right? So over the weekend, I informed Costa that I wanted to come back as an onboarding guide, and I suggested that we split the role between the two of us. He declined. So that made me think: is that really his prerogative? I am bringing this issue here today because there is no precedent for a situation like this, for a contributor wanting to return to a previous role of his, that role having already been taken by someone else, and the incumbent denying the request. And because there is no precedent, there is no process for it. And so to me, it seems that there's 3 options. Either we allow the incumbent contributor to remain uncontested until that person resigns or steps down, or we split the role's duties and thus its payment between the 2 contributors, or we test both contributors on their ability to perform the role, and the best one of the 2 keeping the role. So I wanted to open this out for discussion because every working group decides how it manages its contributors. So this is an issue directly for Communitas, but it would make a precedent for other working groups to follow, because I'm sure this will happen again in other working
Sure.
groups. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Manu. So I will just comment on this, and everyone else is welcome to comment on this, of course. So basically, the idea of the onboarding guide and so on for this season, which is basically the season that started in August, if I'm not wrong. We opened the quorum for all of these processes in August when we submitted the funding proposal for advice process. And the idea was that if anyone wanted to take up on the role, they could do it, and that's still an option. There are roles that are opened there and the advice process. Regarding the three options that you suggest, there is a fourth one, which is gravity. I will have suggested this go through gravity first, because we have a conflict resolution management for this proposal for these kind of situations. And I don't wanna sort of comment anything else further because I think we have already talked with this. I talked with both of you in private regarding this same issue, and I stand by my advice of going through the funding proposal and find a role that fits something in your spectrum, solely for the sake of respecting a proposal that was passed on Gardens with his name on that proposal. If there was if that was contested, it should have been contested during the Gardens governance process or that during the advice process because it was due to that. And that's the idea of the advice process and the challenging process of Gardens. I'm not against you coming back to the role by no means. I'm just trying to think of how that process could be improved or changed. But again, it was passed through Gardens, so I cannot provide you more context on this. I don't know, Costa, would you like to say something? I don't want to monopolize this conversation.
Hey, thanks, Edu. As you said, my answer is just that. To me, the three options that Manu are giving are just, to me, in my head, they are non-existent. These went through Gardens. There was a proposal, was accepted by the community, and the proper course of action to me would make like a next funding proposal to the community, and that's it. Like I accepted a role that was offered, and there's nothing more to it.
Yeah, you would say that, right? Yeah. Yeah, to put it into context, the onboarding guide makes 3 times what stewards make, or used to make. Twice what Edu made in this last month as contributor, almost twice what working group coordination leads make, and like more than 4 times what I make. So, which is I thought the payment would be, the role would be enough to be divided in two, but I guess after the proposals passed, then. But yeah, I'm happy to bring this up to Gravity so that we can discuss it with a third impartial party.
Sure, and I think also, again, for the context of many of folks here who may not know, I'm stepping down from this. Not stepping, yeah, I'm stepping down from the steward position, starting this month. So I'm no longer be sort of point of reference for these kind of situations. I can only offer suggestions and guidance on this based on the things that we did before I left, like this funding proposal. Again, I think Gravity, if there is a conflict, always Gravity, it's the right way to go because it serves a purpose and it is that purpose. Regarding the amount of payment that gets given to it, the rationality of that was very simple, and it's due to most of the work that I did as a steward was as a guide. So it didn't make much of a sense for me to keep charging for that time, and we lowered the payment to stewardship slightly because of that, because we wanted to have a better sense making on what every role should be doing, what everything should be expected from the role. Again, it's subject to change. I don't know how you contest an approved proposal on the forum to decrease the salary of someone. I don't think that has happened before. It may have. I just didn't recall that. But again, I think the best course of action is first going to Gravity to solve it out and see how it can be contested. Again, and yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, streamer. I thought you were gonna. Anyways, does anyone else wants to suggest any other possible solution, feedback, anything else is welcome. So I will count down to 0, 5, 4.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, this is something I've been chatting about in general in a few calls, like soft stuff. And it's I guess something we have to be very aware of, that these things are going to happen again and again, as our common pool goes down, and we have yet to find the proper way to make money. So I would again commend you both to go to Gravity, because I think it's very unfortunate that in fact there's a few things that the TC has had to stop providing funding for. But this seems to be like a very peer-to-peer issue that as much as we'd like, I don't think we have the agency to just tell any of you what to do. And you have to come down to an agreement on what's going to happen with that. And I guess Gravity is the at least for now the only and better way we have to solve those issues. uh, that's everything I wanted to say. I think we have to be very careful, because this is going to happen again and again.
Thank you, Auntie. Does anyone else have any other feedback? 5, 4, 3, 2.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I just have a question for you, Edu, that it's kind of related with this. Like seeing like this situation happening in the working group, and what could happen maybe in the future as well. I'm just wondering, like, with you like stepping down of stewardship, is there like any plan for that in the future? Are you like, how does that gonna look like for Communitas?
Yeah. So in the past month, since August, even before a bit of August, with Gideon, we had this conversation when I already knew that I was going to step down. So we have been having weekly things and meetings with Irem, and she is sort of so far not necessarily taking on the steward position, but she is taking on the responsibilities that came with that role, meaning the tasks that I was doing, meaning joining the retrospective, joining certain calls, and so on. So the idea in this is something that we spoke with Tam and Gideon too, is that Irem has quite a talent for engaging, and it's naturally open and like really open-minded to people. She has a passion in journalism. She sort of fits the profile match perfect, at least to our impression at the moment. And it's a person that's constantly eager and learning things. And I felt that sparkle of curiosity, it's something that is so relevant for our community. So that's how I felt comfortable stepping down with the store, because I sort of knew that there was someone who was able to carry out the flag of the community building effort, because it's not only about doing the tasks, it's about also having the empathy and the kindness to sort of carry the flag of engaging with the community. And the idea for at least this season of the budget is, once this budget expires of Communitas, I'm hoping that the working group dissolves, because, and only because, I hope that Communitas becomes a cultural practice, not a working group. We have created things here in this working group that I would love for the rest of the community to engage and be part of and embrace, not have a niche kind of space like this one. This working group was created initially by two other ex-stewards from the TEC, which is Anna and Marie and Katie. And the spirit of what they created, this working group, was to just create a strategy for the community building. And once this strategy has been created and deployed with the new membership kind of idea that we want to do, the thing that keeps going is just to keep nurturing this and probably have monthly sync about this and back and forth. But the idea is that the community entirely embraces this sort of community approach that we have here. So my midterm, short-term vision is, once the season 2 budget of the Communitas expires, that's how far I envision it. If Irem the rest of you who stays and keep engaging with the community decided to keep going, of course, that's always a possibility. That's not on my course of action to control or not. But my vision is that this becomes a cultural practice and this becomes something greater than a working group. Because I think that we need this, something more than a working group. But that's how far I have envisioned. I don't know if that answered your question, Bear 100.
Yeah, perfectly. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it sounds great. I agree totally.
I have a quick question for that, and thank you, Edu, for all your kind words. You're too kind. But I was wondering, so even if Communitas, in the case of Communitas dissolving, I would, there would still be orientation calls and perhaps like one-on-one guideships. So maybe in that case, for another proposal, even if it's not a working group, perhaps there'd be a proposal for the roles of these people, right? Like orientation call organizer or guides, etc. So maybe that would be something to think about too, Manu. I mean, also, when does season 2 come to an end?
So basically, the ideal scenario is that every season lasts 6 months. That's how we booked it. So the first season lasted way more than 6 months because we had so much budget in the first season. And the idea of season 2 that is last until January, February. It will depend if we still have funds. Again, we prepared in advance, so we foresee sort of 2 months in advance to see what is the balance left and see how, if there will be needed or not. But again, I think your idea of requesting for roles specifically will be amazing. If you guys see the budget right now, there are roles that are not being taken, like community ops, like community builder, and so on. And so, but we and special operations, for example, or like special projects. And the idea is that the special projects, for example, it could be for the people who are going to write articles for Medium and whatever helps the community. But there will be a moment where these roles won't be so relevant, or it could be bounties. So we will not have fixed roles. So it will be more about having 1 or 2 roles that will be monthly paid, but the rest will be based on bounties, most likely. But again, it's only my vision of it at the moment. Things change so fast, and I cannot probably say what will happen in 5 months. Did I answer your question, Direm?
Yes, very helpful. Thank you.
No worries. Manu, you were muted before. Bear 100. You want to say something else?
I just want to say that in the TC's handbook I was reading yesterday to try to find some sense making around this issue. So it says that our commons prioritizes the advancement of token engineering over short-term profits. Salary being a form of income and income being a form of profit. So it seems to me that, and also lately we decided, like historically we acted on that behalf, like the token holders and the stewards decided that in order to prevent unsustainable outflows, we were going to protect the common pool by making some sacrifices, and we all decided that was the way to go. So it seems to me that the collective is more important than individuals. So if I can provide a better onboarding guide or onboard more people or anything, then it seems to me that that's within the mission, vision, values that we agreed. So, but again, that's for Gravity to discuss. That's just my opinion.
Yes, and I will abstain to make personal assessment, comparative assessment, because that's for Gravity or for a personal space to handle, not for a public space to compare to people, because we are not diminishing anyone, or we are not making the assumption that one is better than the other. And I think that's not this a space what it is for. So I will take this feedback and just bring it to Gravity and work around there, because that's a safe space to do so.
I mean, this is a meritocracy. I don't see there's nothing wrong with taking pride in the work you do and trying to compete for a role that at the end of the day it will be there for the commons. So anyway, that's
Okay, I'm not again. I'm not gonna start a discussion here. It's not the space to do so. So again, Gravity, and I really hope this finds a solution. Anyways, does anyone else have any other comment regarding this before we close up the topic? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. LBS, we like to take the rest. I don't know if it's enough time. You can let me know if you need more time. Is that okay?
Let's see. Yeah, we'll probably have enough time. I didn't time myself, but that's all right.
Let's roll.
Maybe we can start with just like acknowledging that conflict is a real thing and that it's important and that it's difficult and that it kind of activates our nervous systems. And just do a little bit of like grounding or shaking or vocalizing with your mic off in whatever way feels appropriate. And Edu, if you would, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, just to contextualize. If you feel like contextualizing so people know what is about to happen, because I think I didn't comment on it. So
yeah, Edu, if you would share the little document that I have linked there. So basically what I'm sharing today is just the like hand signals. Some of you have probably seen me do like little like boo or like holding like crossed fingers or something like that. And Edu asked if I would just kind of like share some of that content with you. And so were you able to access that, Edu, or did that not go through?
I request access because it says you need to give me access.
Make that.
You can share your screen if you feel more comfortable with that.
No, I just made it accessible to anybody with the link, and I'll put the link here
There you
again in our
go.
chat.
There you go. Now it works.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah. So maybe I'll start with like a little bit of context of like where this came from, and then kind of like why is it useful and important, and then how to use it. So hand signals are a way of doing like video communication, but the way that it showed up in my life to begin with was something that I created actually in relation or in response to an emotionally abusive relationship that I was in, where the person that I was with would kind of create these like long-winded webs where they would just go on for 40 minutes and kind of not give me any space to speak. And I was kind of very used to this behavior. And as I was starting to get pretty fed up with it, I started, as this person was talking to me and ranting, every time I had a thought, like something that I wanted to say or bring up that was important to me, I would just grab it out of the air and hold on to it. And I was like, oh, there's another one. Oh, there's another one. And like I'm sitting here doing this while this person is talking to me and they're just not seeing or like interpreting that whatsoever. But it was really important for me that I was able to be like, wow, I had 5 things that I wanted to say. There's actually no room for me in this conversation. So that's kind of its origin story. Then I ended up taking that just into my like friend groups in person because it became a really easy way for people to, in like a group of people all standing together, like non-verbally communicate like, hey, I have something to say next. And then, if you're talking and you're talking and you're talking and like 3 people have something to say, it's a good opportunity to move the focus around. So then when I started at SourceCred, we're in these video calls, it removes us even another layer. It makes it kind of hard to communicate implicitly. A lot of people, jump in and like maybe talk over each other. Maybe you want to affirm something, but you're actually accidentally interrupting. So I just kind of want to bring like some awareness to the fact that these are still like tools that I created as an autistic person to help me kind of navigate normal conversation. And it's one example of a way in which that can really like support and help everybody. And so in SourceCred, people ran with it. They loved it. They continued to like evaluate, like, change it and make it appropriate for the needs of that specific community. And then even just the other week, I got tagged on Twitter because some DAO that I've never even heard of has a little like diagram of my hand signals. And they tagged it back to SourceCred and then they tagged it back to me. So I'll just, it has a lineage from my life. It also has a lot of lineage in the space of SourceCred where we were creating that together. Yeah. So hand signals are basically something that you do with your hands. It could be anything. It could be, like whatever signal you want to use that is easy and accessible for your team. And then it can have any meaning. It's kind of a combination of visual cues and social norms. So a really important part of making these work well is that everybody really understands it. People who are new are kind of brought into the understanding of what's going on. Even as they kind of learn by doing, it's really helpful to get a little bit of a primer and introduction. And it really kind of relies on everybody engaging and honoring whatever hand signals are chosen by the group. And this can be really, really good in like highly facilitated spaces like this one, where Edu is just like really doing all the facilitation and keeping track of who's unmuting and who wants to talk. But it can also be something that everybody just kind of mutually enforces, which can create a really good, easy dynamic for decentralized like groups working together without much hierarchy. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, you can see on the screen there's a little list of just the different hand signals that we used in SourceCred that I can go over really quickly. But again, I'll say this is just something that every community can customize to whatever is actually useful for them. So it can be really helpful to say like, oh, I have a reply. Costa just said something about yada, 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 and I want to talk about that topic. I want to specifically reply to what he said, maybe add a little note or something like that, or my own perspective or take on it. But I'm really sticking to like the topic of conversation that we currently have. We've used this one in the past to be like, cool, whenever y'all are done with your replies, I have a new topic that I want to bring up, but I don't want to interrupt until we're done talking about this one. Nodding your fist is a really, really easy way. It's ASL for yes. And it's just like and that can be a really, really nice way to like agree to something. If you're voting, it can be a really good way to just say like, yes, keep going or whatever. There's also yes, like this, like sparkle fingers, which is more like yes and enthusiasm. You probably see me do that one a lot on video when I'm on video, because it's a good way to not interrupt somebody while also adding a lot of like energy. A really, really useful one is holding your hand in the shape of a C, the letter C in English, and that can be clarifying question. And so if there's a facilitator and like they're keeping track of who's talking next, the clarifying question pops up. Usually that's the next person to talk, and it's identified that like it's going to be a short question that they need to know the answer to be able to understand what's going on, but then they're not going to introduce any kind of like new topics. Another really, really useful one for the facilitators in particularly, but this could be used by anybody, is this shape, which is a point of process. And that's like a little house shape. And it basically means like, whoa, wait, everybody pause really quick. Hey, person, could you mute? We're getting a bunch of background noise from you. Or say you're just in a conversation with your friend in person, you could be like, somebody's at the door. I have to go answer the door. Like, I really need to use the bathroom. Can we hold on for a second? And that's just a really, really great way to immediately break context really quickly to take care of the container that everybody is in. And then it's always nice to have people paying attention to just a simple hand raise. New people who are confused can just use that as a way to try and like communicate. And if there's a facilitator, they can kind of jump in and ask what they mean. If it's not very accessible, if somebody's hands have a hard time, maybe they have arthritis or something like that, and doing these shapes are hard, just a raised hand can be a lot easier sometimes. So it's important to create like a I don't know what's going on, or that doesn't really work for me option. Yeah, and I'll just say that like this comes from a long lineage and source cred of different facilitation techniques. And I put some links in the very top of the document that kind of mark that lineage. There's a bunch of videos about like how to facilitate meetings and stuff like that. Vibe, stack, notes, all of these things that at source cred we really identified as being a part of being a facilitator or being a facilitation team. And those are just interesting things that if you're curious about that, you can always follow up on. And there's some links in there. And I see that maybe Edu has a reply.
Yes, great work. I never understood there were so many, and it's so nice. So I wanna just before we close up, and because we're 4 minutes, it's the hour. If anyone who has access to the camera was just pick your favorite hand sign and do it to the camera. If you can, please do. This is an uncomfortable exercise to expose yourself to the camera, But if you can, please do. So we share this little workshop moment as feedback. So I will count down to 5, and we will do the ones that we can. 1,
And
2, 3, 4, 5. There you go. Let me take a screenshot. Don't move. Give me a moment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There you go. All right.
and you can always use emojis in the chat too if you're ever feeling particularly shy.
Yeah, I
think
wish
those are all
Discord
good.
also had the reactions, automatic reactions, not on the chat, but like on Zoom that comes up. I'm sure it'll be implemented soon, but let's wait for it. Oh,
There's some new ones.
awesome! Yes, we can. I didn't know we could do this. Awesome.
just new feature.
Bear 100. You mean?
Yeah, I just want to say like thank you to LBS. Like just to mention that I think my favorite one is like the sparkle fingers. I always notice that you use it. Yeah, and it's actually true because it does makes you feel like like what you're saying. It's having an impact, or the other person is like agreeing with what you're saying. So yeah, I do believe and I do think this is super important and it does make a difference. So thank you, LBS, for sharing this. Absolutely, it was really good. Yeah, I'm sparkling my fingers right now.
Love it. Yeah. If people want to use these, this document exists. If y'all want to create your own hand signals to use in the TEC, that's great. If this isn't applicable, that's also great. It's just a resource to be taken advantage of if necessary. Check.
If that's okay for you, I will probably bring this to Stewards and probably bring it to orientation call item. I think it will be nice to at least 1 or 2 to be shared with newcomers. They will be extremely helpful. Does anyone else have any other comment? Last minute to comment. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining today. This was a hack call. NTN 100. I will text you to see when we can sync. And then again, if anyone wants any of the issues that are on the Epic from SendHub to start deploying this new membership process, please send me a message to me or to IRM, and we will reach you out. So thank you so much, everyone, and looking forward to see you around. Take care. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye. Take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.